Hey everybody, it's Aldo Gandhi, and I just want to let you know really quickly that our swag shop is reopened. DeepDishTees.com is where you go, and that's tees with T-E-E-S. Clever name, guys. They're the new home of our merchandise. You can get t-shirts, you can get caps, you can get coffee mugs, you can get hoodies, you can get all sorts of good stuff, and you'll help out the bar room with the purchase. So head over to DeepDishTees.com. Every summer in Chicago, the sunshine spotlights the city's spectacular skyline. Its luxurious lakeshore, marvelous monuments, and the over 200 neighborhoods in the city. And it also brings to light two of the greatest sports franchises in the world. On the north side, it's the Cubs. On the south side, it's the White Sox. This is CrossTown CrossTalk.
Hello, and welcome to episode number 6 of CrossTown CrossTalk. My name is Vinny Parisi.
And I'm Joey Parisi.
And this show is brought to you by Spider Tack.
I wish.
Just kidding. It's not actually brought to you by Spider Tack. No.
Yeah, I wish they hit us up.
I feel like any baseball show on the planet right now is somewhat brought to you by Spider Tack. Is a company that's been in like a negative light ever been more happy?
I mean, I don't know if is it a negative light for them?
Yes. 1,000,000%. Their stuff is directly being associated with cheating.
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
It's kind of like
but it's not like it's made for baseball.
No, it's not made for baseball. It was developed by a professional weightlifter who like wanted to be able to hold the bar easier, which I don't consider that cheating in weightlifting at all.
Yeah, so if I'm Spider Tack, I'm happy.
Yeah, I mean, think about like when the pandemic first started, like companies like toilet paper companies and Purell, like those guys made bank.
Exactly.
Like it's something.
And I always I go by good, or any controversy is good controversy. Or
wow.
Any I don't even know how
good
to.
Press is bad press.
Yeah, like if
bad press is good press.
If people are talking about it, then it's good for you. Like whether it's negative, positive, it's good for them.
Yeah, and I actually have an opinion on Spider Tack, like comparing it to other sticky substances that they use in baseball. But first, we want to get to a little bit of breaking news, don't you think?
Yeah.
There's some breaking news out of Hallis Hall that the Chicago Bears have formally submitted a purchase bid for the Arlington International Racecourse property. I almost said resource. I can't speak.
Yeah.
It's our obligation to explore every possible option to ensure we're doing what's best for our organization and its future. If selected, this step allows us to further evaluate the property and its potential. That comes from Ted Phillips, the Chicago Bears president and CEO. Your thoughts?
That if they like, all right. So my thoughts on that is excellent. Good. Good for them for trying to, explore all their options. My initial thought, and I'm going to agree with Big Banklin, our good friend, good family, Frank. He said in the chat, boo, we want racing to stay. And that's the only thing that I would be disappointed at. I love the Arlington racetrack. So that would suck. It sucks that would be going away. But having the Chicago Bears that much closer and relocated from where they're at now would be freaking awesome for us.
Yeah, and not a lot of people know that Arlington Racetrack is directly correlated with Churchill Downs, which is in Kentucky where the Kentucky Derby is held. So I don't know, man. Losing the racing sucks, but that's happening anyway.
Yeah.
Whether the Bears purchase it or not, the racing's going away. They could put a McDonald's there if the Bears don't end up winning the bid. So, I mean, if the racetrack has to go away and that's what is going to happen, put the Bears there. So yeah. I agree that getting rid of the racing kind of sucks. Horse racing is fun and I enjoy it. But if it's going away, which it is, sorry to burst your bubble, it's going away no matter what they decide, put the Bears there. I mean, Soldier Field's a dump. I don't know how you feel about it.
What do you think of Steven Zimmerman saying, no way, Bears remain an outdoor team if they build a new stadium, right? If they build, it's going to be a dome. It probably will be a dome. So
If
what do you
they're
think
smart.
about that?
If they're smart, they would build a dome for a couple reasons. The first being they can host a Super Bowl. Not saying the Bears will ever get to the Super Bowl. We know how that has gone over the last, 40 years. But we all have high hopes for Justin Fields, so we'll see what happens there. But in terms of hosting a Super Bowl, regardless of who's in it, that would be huge for the city of Chicago. It's very rare that a cold weather city gets the Super Bowl. I know New York got it in the Meadowlands a couple years ago, technically New Jersey. But I mean, that's just a rare case. You would almost think the Bears are a lock to get a Super Bowl within 5 years of building a new stadium there.
Yeah, I also don't see an issue with having a dome. I kind of like it. I like the fact that football to me is one of those, I don't mind if it's in a dome. Baseball, I can't stand when they play in the dome. I hate the Rays Stadium. But I mean for football, I don't mind it. A lot of stadiums do it. A lot of stadiums have the capability of opening up, and who knows, what if they were to do that? What if they were to have one of those stadiums that can close and open?
A retractable roof would be a good idea. There are some Bear fan purists out there that, believe in bear weather. And so when a team like the Rams from LA comes to town and the Bears are fully capable of playing in the cold as to them who are used to being like the California bros, I see that. But I mean, I'd rather host a Super Bowl and be able to wear a T-shirt to a football game in December.
Yeah. Gonzo says, love the lakefront, but this is needed badly.
Well, Soldier Field it's kind of, I don't know. It just doesn't have the same feel. Like, for example, I went to Atlanta in 2019 and I saw the SEC championship between Georgia and LSU. Go Tigers. And it was delightful. The stadium's brand new. It doesn't have that nostalgia feel or anything like that. It's the freaking home of the Falcons. And there's a Chick-fil-A in there. But I mean, as far as it being just a state-of-the-art, beautiful building to enjoy a football experience, I'd almost pass on the nostalgia and be able to enjoy a premier fan experience at a state-of-the-art stadium like that. Wouldn't you?
Yeah, exactly. And Santiago says, give me retractable roof and cheerleaders. But I also agree with his earlier comment. He said, fuck bear weather. And to me, if you ask the players, I guarantee they would say, yeah, we think this sucks. If other teams aren't used to it, it still sucks for us playing in the cold bear weather. So I don't know. I'm a big fan of football in domes.
And there's this new quarterback in town who's largely reliant on his athletic ability to make throws. I'm assuming that would go down a lot easier in a dome, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, Tom Brady is one of the few left who are a pure pocket passer. And even Tom got the hell out of frickin' New England and went and enjoyed the nice weather in Tampa Bay. And he still did just as good there, if not better, at 40-something years old.
Yeah.
So, I know there's the frozen tundra of Green Bay, and that'll probably never change. But, I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of for it. And I'd like to have season tickets to a place close to where I live. That'd be nice.
Yeah, exactly. And parking would be amazing.
Parking's the worst at Soldier Field. You got to walk 1,000 miles or take a shuttle.
Yeah, or can't you park in McCormick Place if nothing's going on there?
Yeah, I think so. Sometimes they share parking lots. They're right next to.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. But nothing has to be going on there. I don't know how it works, but
imagine a tailgate in a parking lot at Arlington. You got the great tasting, less fillings flowing. It's a Sunday night. Justin Fields is getting ready to start under the lights against the Packers. Oh my goodness, feed me that right now.
Yeah. Do we know if tailgating's coming back? Because I know you can't tailgate right now at the at Guaranteed Rate Field.
Yeah, so I believe that is over. The White Sox played their final series against the Tampa Bay Rays at 60% capacity, which, based on my experience, seems a little more than that. You were there with me. But I did go on the SeatGeek app and for the game against the Mariners, and it definitely looks like a lot more tickets are available. So maybe it feels like there's more than 60%, but when we go to that first 100% game, it's going to feel different. And I believe tailgating will be open for that. Don't quote me on that. And we'll get more into that Rays series later on too.
The reason I feel like it feels more than 60% because you got to look at it as the stadium as a whole. It's not like it's 60% per section. It's 60% in the entire thing. So
Yeah.
when we're sitting in that 100 level and it's filled. If you look up, like those seats in the upper deck, way above us where we usually don't go, those are all pretty much kind of empty still. So if it's 60% of the whole stadium, yeah, I could totally see that. But I mean, in our section, it was filled. Every section to our left and right was filled pretty much. So it definitely feels like more than 60%. But I'm wondering if come June 25th that you're going to look up and see those upper decks kind of filled as well.
Yeah, and you could kind of feel watching it at the game or on television, the stadium's starting to get drunker and drunker as the weeks go on.
Oh, yeah, we got to go to
very mild. It was very mild. And then come the second game the next day, it was hot and it was nice. The great tasting, less fillings were flowing. And when we went on Monday, it was a drunk stadium. I mean, people are yelling, F you, Randy, at Randy Arozarena and left field and building cup snakes and doing the waves. It's a good time over there, but we'll get into the White Sox in a little bit. I actually, now that, we can kind of move on from football, I'm sure the Bears will provide steady updates on the process. I kind of have a feeling they're going to get it personally because, why wouldn't Arlington sell to the most valuable franchise in the NFL? I think Forbes has them as the second or first, something like that. They're up there. So we'll see what happens.
It would be a money maker for everyone. Arlington, the Chicago Bears. We'd be the ones spending the money, but
they for sure have money coming from me more than they already did.
That's what I'm saying.
So, all right. Well, Major League Baseball, like we brought up to start the show, brought to you by Spider Tack. They kind of have a new sticky stuff policy, and it goes into effect on Monday, and it's banning all substances, and that includes sunscreen and rosin that's not from the bag behind the mound or anything that can be used to get a better grip on a baseball. And it's a 10-game suspension with pay if caught. I mean, a 10-game suspension with pay. Can I get a 10-day suspension with pay?
That's what I was going to say. I was going to talk about the whole with pay thing.
Yeah, I mean, back at my old job, I would have put whatever on my hand to get a 10-day suspension with pay. It's a fine line because I saw a comment from Zim earlier about Spider Tech can't be associated with cheating. Nothing. There's different substances for different purposes. And I believe that Spider Tech is used to help increase your spin rate. It just makes sense. If it's extra sticky like that, it helps you get more RPMs on the ball. When you throw a curveball and you give that little flick, it certainly helps with that. Now, with sunscreen, you need a grip on the ball. Those balls are very inconsistent, and I'd like to know your take on that.
Coming from aside from the grip, how can you ban sunscreen? It's sunny. These guys, you don't think these guys actually use sunscreen for its purpose?
Yes,
they do. So if you're a pitcher now, what can you not put sunscreen on your arms? Because it's you put sunscreen on it, you're gonna get it.
You can, but if it's proven that it's on the ball,
I mean, how can we prove that here? Banning sunscreen to me is outrageous and unnecessary.
First of all, are you cool with using sunscreen for better grip on the ball?
I mean, I was waiting for you to ask. I was waiting for you to ask my take on the whole rule in general.
Yeah,
I'm cool with everything.
Even Spider Tack.
I'm cool with Spider Tack. I'm cool with everything. I don't look at it as a form of cheating per se, as much as other people do.
Yeah, I mean, I'm cool with getting rid of Spider Tack, but I think someone like Tyler Glasnow and comes out and gives this big long interview about using sunscreen for better grip and how it affects his elbow and his shoulder and all that. I couldn't agree with him anymore if I tried.
Yeah, we saw Glasnow. He left our game.
Yeah.
Who knows what I know we'll talk more about Jake DeGrom, but he left after 3. And I'm wondering, and I asked you right away when DeGrom left yesterday, I'm wondering, are pitchers gonna, if they're not able to use anything, and it's clear that they're not using anything, are they gonna start trying different things to emulate their old tactics without the substance, and are they going to end up hurting themselves? Because it's not easy to do what they do with no substance. So I mean, you don't want to see these pitchers start getting hurt.
Absolutely. And what Glasnow and Bauer and all these guys, one of their main beefs is the fact that they threw 80 innings and then this got thrown on them. No one would have complained if it became a level playing field and it was decided in December or January. Hell, I'll even give you spring training.
Yeah, or if you had all off season to adjust and work on it and rehabilitate the way that the game's supposed to be played. But that's where your opinion lies on whether it should be allowed or not.
Yeah, and I don't want to see guys get plunked in the head either based on, what's going on with the grip and the ball and not being able to get good command of it. In fact, let's send it over to Tyler Glasnow and hear what he had to say. There was a bunch of things about it, and I want to know exactly how you feel about what Tyler Glasnow says after the comments.
I 100% believe that contributed to me getting hurt. No doubt, without a doubt. I think it's ridiculous. I have used sticky stuff before. It's ridiculous that it seems like this whole public perception of it's just select few of people. Your favorite pitcher probably 50 years ago was using something too. If you felt these balls, how inconsistent they were, you have to use something. So in the past, my substance of choice is sunscreen and rosin, just nothing egregious, something to where I can get a grip on the ball so it doesn't feel dusty. But 2 starts ago against the Nationals, I went cold turkey, nothing. And before that start, I remember when all this stuff came out, I was talking to people and talking to doctors, and they were like, the thing that maybe MLB doesn't realize or that players don't realize is what is the injury, what is the prevention of maybe it'll add to injuries. And in my mind, I was like, that sounds dumb. That sounds like an excuse a player would use to make sure he can use sticky stuff. But I threw to the Nationals with nothing. I don't use sticky stuff I don't use spider tack. I don't need more spin. I have huge hands. I spin the ball fine. I want grip. I did well against the Nationals, probably one of the best starts I had all year. I woke up the next day and was like, I am sore in places that I didn't even know I had muscles in. I felt completely different. I switched my fastball grip and my curveball grip. I've thrown it the same way for however many years I played baseball. I had to put my fastball deeper into my hand and grip it way harder. And I had to, instead of holding my curveball at the tip of my fingers, I had to dig it deeper into my hand. So I'm choking out all my pitches. My cue I used to use with Snyder was hold the ball like an egg, nice and loose, be loose. That's out of the window. So I now have to develop a new cue. I have to develop something where I can't hold the ball light anymore. I have to dig it deep into my hand. So I'm taking it, and you have to think, I'm not a doctor. I know you guys probably know that. But I'm taking a fastball. I'm squeezing the ball twice as hard. So all of this is I'm recruiting all these muscles, and I'm taking my arm as hard as I can, throwing the ball. So I'm going from a flexed muscle to letting a ball go. And like I said, I was maybe it's not going to – I don't think it'll lead to any injuries. But waking up after that start, I was like, okay, this sucks. Something is weird here. And then that same feeling is persisting all week long. And then I go into my start yesterday, and that same feeling it pops or whatever the hell happened to my elbow. I feel it. Something happens. And I'm sitting out there just you got to be kidding me. The whole day yesterday, I'm sitting there trying to get a grip on a ball. And I'm not trying to blame anyone. I'm not trying to say this is all MLB's fault. They got thrown into this situation too. They're doing the best they possibly can to navigate around this. They're trying to make this fair for people. I understand that. But you can't – whether you want us to not use sticky stuff or not is fine. Fine. Do it in the off season. Give us a chance to adjust to it. But I just threw 80-something, 70 whatever innings, and then you just told me I can't use anything in the middle of the year. I had to change everything I've been doing the entire season. Everything out of the window. I have to start doing something completely new. And then I'm telling you, I truly believe that's why I got hurt. Me throwing 100 and being 6'7" is why I got hurt, but that contributed. And so I'm just frustrated that they don't understand how hard it is to pitch one, but to tell us to do something completely different in the middle of a season is insane. I just don't, it's ridiculous. There has to be some give and take here. You can't just take away everything and not add something. Pitchers need to be able to have some sort of control or some sort of grip on the ball. And I just don't want things like this to happen to somebody else. I don't want a fastball to sail away and hit somebody in the face like it already has. So I just think I understand you need to take an aggressive approach here, but I just think people are going about it all wrong. And I'm sitting here, my lifelong dream, I want to go out and win a Cy Young. I want to be an all-star. And then now it's all just shit on because now it's over.
What's your take on that?
I mean, we're getting some opposing takes in the chat here. I'm sorry, I agree with him 110%.
What do I? Not like I couldn't agree more if I tried.
Yeah, and I agree with Garrett Cole. He said very similar stuff. Garrett Cole just sounds like an idiot when he talks. Tyler Glasnow, he knew what he was saying going into it. And I honestly believe, like, yeah, I understand, like, Gonzo, he probably doesn't agree. It seems like he's very against everything he just said. But I think every single pitcher, I agree. All of our favorite pitchers on the White Sox, on the Cubs, on the Dodgers, every single one of our favorite pitchers are using this stuff, and they're affected negatively by this new rule.
They'll feel differently if someone on the White Sox or the Cubs or, whoever, whatever the people, there are people that are out on Glasnow now after hearing this. It's not cheating to use sunscreen to make sure the ball doesn't escape your hand or, hurt your elbow. I mean, I know what it's like to hurt my elbow throwing. I mean, if you change and I don't throw 100. So, anybody comparing like their little league experience to what Tyler Glasnow is going through is not, I mean, even high school, we both played in high school, and it's very hard to pitch. It's very hard to throw 100. It's also hard to grip the ball. And more than one pitcher has said that the balls are not uniform. Sometimes they're dusty because, not a lot of people know this. Every Major League Baseball is coated with like this dirt substance thing. And if the balls sit too long, then they get chalky. And it makes it even harder to throw in that. So Frank makes a good point about making the ball even across the league. Yeah, that's what they want. Someone like Trevor Bauer definitely like comes out and says that he wants there to be an even playing field. He said this 4 years ago. And then he went out and developed his own version of Spider Tack and sticky stuff with chemists and went out and won a Cy Young. Like, basically like begging people to make him stop. And now it's here, but they do it in such a weird way. And they get rid of things that guys have been using for 100 years. And anybody who acts like they haven't been look at Liam Hendricks every time he pitches. Boom. With the hat and grabbing their belt buckle. And you see Dylan Cease do it all the time. It's going to stop now. And all we can do is hope that none of our guys get hurt. I mean, I'm sorry that Glasnow got hurt and now DeGrom's dealing with an injury. I'm not directly sure that it correlates to sunscreen or rosin with DeGrom, but Trevor Bauer also put a video on YouTube. He combined rosin with sweat, and he was just in the dugout. He wasn't pitching. When you combine rosin with sweat, and rosin is in the little bag behind the pitcher's mound, they're not getting rid of that. When you combine it with sweat, the ball sticks to his hand. So like, what's the difference? It just seems, and he asked the question, is this illegal or not? Most people probably look and go, yes. But I mean, I totally think like the fact that they're doing this midseason is just wrong. And you got someone like Carlos Rodon who also is dealing with this. And kid yourself or not, Carlos Rodon probably uses rosin or sunscreen or stuff like that to get a good grip. I mean, with a slider like that, we'll see what Carlos Rodon's spin rate on his slider looks like over the next couple days, because I think there have been a total of 5 or 6 hits on his slider all season long. So you want to hear his comments real quick?
Yeah.
So the way I look at it is it's hard to see this when you're giving out 10-game suspensions for cheating, but you give the Astros no suspensions at all. So, I mean, if Rob Manfred can look himself in the mirror and say, hey, I'm doing the right thing, that's fine. You can't suspend the team that you actually knew was cheating during a playoff game. That's on you.
So what's your take on what Carlos Rodon said?
I think every single pitcher is going to agree with every single pitcher in the entire MLB is going to be on the same side here.
Yeah. And so are hitters, other than Spider Tack. They don't want like stuff to make sliders unhittable.
Yeah.
But they're okay with them getting a grip on the ball.
Or I also what Glasnow said about how hard you have to squeeze the ball and that tension on these muscles. Then if you're not squeezing as hard because you have some assistance with some substance, then it's bad. I think that doesn't give the pitcher necessarily an advantage over the hitter. It just helps their health and what they're used to using now, and the way they're used to throwing now is now having to be changed halfway through the season.
Yeah, and it's going to lead to injuries and stuff like that, and it's just not what you want to see. Like, I can't believe this is where we are with baseball, and it bugs me that it's being done mid-season. If you consider it something that shouldn't be done, whatever. Like even Glasnow said, if you want to get rid of it, fine, but not now. It just can't be done in the middle of a season. It would be like adding the second base rule in June. I mean, technically, what's the difference?
Yeah, you're right.
And now Glasnow's out. Other pitchers are going to get hurt. We'll see what happens with DeGrom. I don't know if DeGrom's is directly affected by what's going on. It very well could be, because everything that he said about his elbow could also apply to your shoulder. And people are talking about mechanics. Well, their mechanics have been used. Like, what's so bad about using sunscreen to make sure that you have a good grip on the ball, especially when the balls are not uniform?
Yeah, I like what Santiago said. He said some pitchers say the MLB should come up with their own approved substance. I don't hate that at all. Will the MLB do it? Who knows? But I like have an MLB thing that, you know, is supplied by the MLB for all pitchers to use, and that's legal for everyone. And if pitchers like it, then
yes. And if it's approved by the Players Association and the league, then that means it's collectively bargained and nobody can complain about it. Because I know there are hitters that want pitchers to have something so that they are able to control the ball. I saw today in the Indians game against the Baltimore Orioles, someone got clunked right in the head. Now, everything's a small sample size. Guys got hit in the head even when there was sticky stuff. So, like, it's a small sample size, and we don't know how it'll affect it long term. But, I mean, all these things are coincidentally happening right now when they weren't a month ago.
yeah, and Gonzo says there is a difference in the tackiness of these substances. That's why I love the idea of the MLB having a universal substance for all pitchers to use. Have like a team of MLB players, like pick 20 pitchers in the MLB across, or have a pitcher represent each team, and have them all get together and have a meeting and talk about, you know, okay, what substance will we like? And then have the MLB, you know, partner up with someone, create a substance, MLB branded or whatever, for all these pitchers to use.
Absolutely. Now, what's your take on someone like Bauer, who just thinks it's funny to like show the difference between the sweat mixed with rosin being about as sticky as sunscreen, if not more sticky?
Yeah, I mean, Trevor Bauer, we all know about his personality. We both like him.
We both would be him if we were in the MLB. And
I mean, part of the reason I threw this on was because I knew we'd mention Trevor Bauer's name. I mean, what do you want to know? It's like, clearly, if you can get it with the rosin, because that's not going away. Players are going to sweat. It's 90 degrees out here. So, I mean, that's one way to do it, but why not just make it easier on us?
But what about the playoffs when it's freezing?
Yeah, now you're taking an element that they're used to, and it's not available. So if you're able to get the same effect with a substance that's approved by the MLB, then why don't we just do that? So this way it can be done fair enough for everyone year round.
Yeah, I agree. So you would keep Spider Tech in addition to the other ones, or you would just go full uniform?
I would. Okay, if it's up to me, use whatever you want. I don't look at it as much of cheating as some other forms of cheating. That's just my opinion.
What the rules are.
Yeah, that's just my opinion. And I'm open for disagreement, because I know I might be in the minority there. But if that's just my opinion, that I don't mind it. But if I was in charge, because I know how many people disagree with that opinion, if I was in charge, I would push for a uniform substance across the entire MLB.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure I heard that hitters are cool with sunscreen and rosin. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah. Is HGH good for Joey? I'm confused.
I don't know, man. It's definitely interesting. I just hope that it doesn't affect anybody else. I hope people are able to learn from what Glasnow said, and I hope the league takes what he says into consideration, because that's a superstar in the game. And I don't know. Yeah, human growth hormone. You in?
Okay. So you mean like PEDs and stuff?
Yeah, you a big steroid guy?
I don't know if he's joking or being serious. Okay, I'm gonna say no. Steroids that should be banned, but not because why you think. If it's legal, yeah, you can make the argument every player can use it then, but there's a lot to know about performance enhancing drugs and human growth hormones and anything you could take. There's a lot of health negatives that will affect you later down the road. And players aren't going to want to put their bodies on the line for later in their life. So you could say, yeah, well, everyone can use it, so it's equal advantage. No, but players aren't going to want to do that. That's a big health thing, and that's why I think it should be illegal. I meant anything in terms of stickiness.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I meant by I'm cool with anything.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's just giving you a hard time.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, you don't mean anything that could put guys' health in danger because steroids could have negative benefits down the road in your life, and stuff like that. It's completely different. And I also see the cheating aspect as completely different too, just because I don't see it as an issue if it is causing guys to get hurt. And if you are going to get rid of it, do it in the offseason so everybody can be on the same level from the start.
Yeah.
Because now also, like, there are guys like Glasnow who stopped using it 2 weeks ago with his start against the Nationals and then his start against the White Sox. And then you are going to have guys who use it until Monday. So, I mean, what are we doing here?
Yeah, and depending on what happens within the next month, like what about a guy who hasn't pitched yet this year, who like Chris Sale is in the middle of his rehabilitation, and he should be starting his assignments pretty soon. Obviously, he's not going to be doing his rehab with sticky stuff. So,
yeah, absolutely.
So is Chris Sale going to come back with no sticky stuff and just be adjusted and ready? And Chris Sale is going to just be lights out? That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly possible. That's why I said it. It's just so bad how they handled it. We know that their intention is good, and nobody's saying that. Even someone like Bauer, who kind of hates the MLB, he knows that their intentions are good. It's just the way they go about things. They mess everything up.
Yeah.
Whatever, man. Let's move over to our local teams. We'll start with the Cubs this week. I feel like we give the White Sox a lot of love on this show too, but we'll start with the Cubs this week. Since our last show, they went on and swept the St. Louis Cardinals in what was a very good showing. And then they went on to play the New York Metropolitans, and so far this week it has not gone well. They're losing the series 3-0. What's your take on the Cubs overall since our last show?
Yeah, well, against the Cardinals, they swept them. We both predicted they'd go 2-1, so better than expected there. In the Mets, you said 2-2, and I said 3-1. So are the Mets like more legit than we thought? Maybe, because I honestly don't know what to make of it. Obviously, we saw DeGrom; he was lights out in the 3 innings he pitched. But yeah, we have some highlights here of him just making
mowing down Cubs.
Yeah, he literally mowing them down. What did he have? 8 in 3 innings.
Yep. The only player who made contact was Anthony Rizzo, and he hit it to the wall, and it was caught. So he was perfect through 3, and then he got hurt.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, kind of completely opposite of what I thought would happen with the New York Mets series, because I had them going 3-1. It'll be interesting to see how they go tonight with Hendricks versus Stroman. But yeah, I'd say today's you got to have that mindset. Like, you got to win this game. You don't want to get swept in a 4-game series against the Mets. So,
yeah, and the Mets are a good team. I don't know if they're a great team, but I don't think the Cardinals are a good team. So what was once a measuring stick for the Cubs with the Cardinals earlier in the season, yeah, they got to be better. I mean, beating the Cardinals was nice, going 3-0, sweeping your rival, big weekend at Wrigley, first time at full capacity. They played well and they deserve credit, but just the way things have gone against the Mets have not been good. I will say Anthony Rizzo's red hot, like red hot. And he took DeGrom deep only for it to be caught at the wall. And then DeGrom comes out with an injury, and the very next at-bat, he hits one to Pluto. So it seems like all these core players in the Cubs keep getting better and better. What's your take on one Tony Rizzo?
Yeah, he's definitely been good. I still think he could be better. Like, yeah, he hit this one. And what was that? Was that the 14 pitch at bat?
Yeah.
That he did against St. Louis? That is an at bat. That could be like at bat of the year, just to stay in it like that. And that place was electric. If I could choose a time to be at Wrigley Field so far this season, I believe that was the first day with full capacity for them.
Yes, it was.
And that building erupted. So, that was actually really cool to see. So, I like, obviously we love Anthony Rizzo. We've talked about that. So, I mean, good for him.
I want people to actually sit down and think about what a 14 pitch at bat actually is.
Yeah.
Because in a count, you get 3 balls and 2 strikes. So a full count is a minimum of 6 pitches. The ones in the count and then the payoff. So to get up to 14, that means, I'm not a math guy, is that 8 foul balls? It could be more because the 2 strikes that led up to it could have been fouls as well. I don't remember the exact sequence of the at bat, but I mean, 14 pitches is more than double what a max at bat could be in terms of balls and strikes.
Yeah, it's remarkable, and it takes an elite hitter to do something like that. And then, like, the cherry on top is that he went yard.
Yeah. So, and you're an elite hitter when you could do stuff like that, because what it means is he fouled off every pitch that was junk, and he didn't swing at 3 balls, right? And after he got to 2 strikes, I'm sure there was some protecting of the plate involved. And any pitch that he didn't like, he fouled it off. He knew eventually he would get one right down the middle if he kept fouling it off enough. And fouling it off is not easy. Doing stuff, keeping an at bat alive like that is very difficult. And I definitely think the way it paid off for him is just a sign of how good and locked in he actually is. Because in between each pitch, you heard him say in an interview after, stay focused, Anthony. Stay focused, Anthony. In between every pitch, you can't lose that focus. And he drove it out, and it was a huge moment for the Cubs in that series.
Yeah, and I mean, it's kind of hard to look at this past series to take a measuring stick, because I don't think we can make that joke anymore about the Mets. That's what I wanted to say. I have their record pulled up here, and their division sucks. We talk about that all the time, but we used to always joke okay, the Mets would, especially when DeGrom would start, he would throw a gem and the Mets would still lose because they can't score. That's really not the case anymore. I feel. I know, their division. They're leading their division. They have a 5-game lead in their division, and they have a plus 24 run differential. So you can say what you want about their division, but it seems like they know how to score runs now.
Would you be shocked at all if the Atlanta Braves went on a run with how talented they are? And
I feel like they rely too much on. What's up?
That division's a sleeping giant for me, because I could see the Braves really being good. And then if Bryce Harper, JT Realmuto, guys like Aaron Nola on the mound, the Phillies can be a formidable team as well.
Yeah, I feel like both the Phillies and the Braves just rely on their top guys a little too much.
Yeah.
You got Acuna Jr. and
best players in the league.
Yeah, undoubtedly one of the best players in the league, but the team isn't that great. You still need that depth in your lineup, and I don't think either team really has that. And the Mets, they're just getting it done.
Yeah, I agree. Now they're leading the AL or the NL East. Do you think they'd be leading the NL Central if they were in this division? Because I do.
The Mets?
Yeah. So, people can rip on them for the division all they want. The only division I really don't think they'd be leading had they played in it is the West, because, the Giants, the Dodgers, and the Padres are all sweet, even though the Padres kind of stink right now.
Yeah, it's very possible. I've never even you're saying they would lead the NL Central if they were in it?
I believe they would be. They're a good team, man. They're not these world beaters. I don't know if I consider them a powerhouse, but they got to be considered a playoff contender in the National League right now.
Definitely. But I don't know if I can back them leading the NL Central if they were in it.
Yeah, I
like the Cubs better, but I might even like the Brewers better.
Yeah, and the Reds are 8-2 in their last 10, and all of a sudden surged past the Cardinals.
Yeah, so I don't know.
Yeah, it's crazy. They're looking for a 4-game sweep of the Cubs, though, so it's hard to say the Cubs are that much better. When the Cubs don't get incredible performances from guys like Patrick Wisdom, and then good pitching performances from guys like Alzolay and, the depth guys, then it's hard for them to win.
Yeah, and another guy that you didn't mention is Zach Davies. He's now gone 2 straight games without giving up a single run. And I credit myself for that, because I kind of kind of, gave him a hard time when we first started the show, but he is on my fantasy team, and I never dropped him. I kept him in, and now it's paying dividends for me. So
No one gives a shit about your fantasy team.
I think I always will think highly of Zach Davies. I did going into this year, and better late than never, I guess, right?
Yeah, absolutely. He's been very good for the Cubs, and pitching has kind of been up and down for them. I think it's been better than some people thought originally, and they get it done using some guys who you just wouldn't expect to come through. So, I mean, is Patrick Wisdom the next Yermin Mercedes? Is he going to fall off? How will that hurt the Cubs? There are so many questions with them that I think need to be answered over the next month or so before they get to the trade deadline.
Yeah, and over the next at least week or so, I like their schedule. Wouldn't you agree?
With the Marlins and the Indians?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, you want to get into that now?
Yeah. What else do you have to say about the Cubs?
Yeah, well, I kind of wanted to talk about their game yesterday against DeGrom really quick.
Okay, yeah. I mean, we saw DeGrom being lights out, and then...
Yeah, he struck out 7 of 8, perfect through 3. The only one who even slightly got barrel on it was Rizzo. He hit it to the wall, but it was caught. And this guy's amazing. And to see him come out of the game like that was tough. And he actually had some comments after the game about his future and what he's dealing with the injury.
Yeah, that's a tough question because I want to be out there every fifth day, but like I said, it's frustrating coming out of games like this. I expect to go out there and give us depth, and I haven't done that like I expect out of myself. And the bullpen's done a great job of picking me up, but I can't keep doing that to those guys. So I think that's going to be a decision based on what we see tomorrow, and that'll probably be a discussion to be had. But the competitor in me wants to be out there, but like I said, it's frustrating leaving games early.
What are your thoughts? Really quick before you go, the Mets did announce right before we started recording our show that DeGrom's shoulder, everything came back negative. There's no damage or anything like that. So they're going to get a second opinion just because they understand the significance of it. People don't realize that in the year 2021, shoulders are actually more tricky than elbows because Tommy John, they say it's about 90% recovery rate now. That's still 10% of your career being in jeopardy, but 90% I'm taking my chances if I have that type of lateral tear. And if with the shoulder, it's a little more scary. So to hear that there's no structural damage as of right now, it's good to get a second opinion. I agree. What are your thoughts on if he should play for the next 2 weeks, shut it down, figure out whatever the pain is? I mean, what do you got?
Yeah, the shoulder is a ball and joint muscle or whatever, ball and socket joint, whereas the elbow is just, it only goes one way. So the shoulder, I think, is like, if you're having shoulder pain, I think that's very serious. And you want that to be 100%. And yeah, he said he wants to be starting every 5 games, but I mean, we just talked about the Mets and how good they've been this year. They need him. So I think they need him to be 110% healthy. So if I'm Jake DeGrom, I'm going to, do whatever it takes and get to 100% healthy before I throw another baseball. He's a competitor. He wants to play as quick as possible. Gonza says Joey is a doctor, and I'm here all for it. Yeah, I do look at myself as a little doctor.
Joey actually studies. He's not a doctor. He never did anything medically in school or anything, but he has studied this is me being serious, Vinny, for a second. He knows the human body just a little bit better than like most non-doctors.
Yeah. A very fitness orientated guy. But anyway, I would get to 100% before I throw another baseball if I'm Jake DeGrom. I know how much he wants to play, but you got to look at it from your team is in first place. You guys got a good lead on first place. You want him healthy, especially if they're going to make a playoff run, which I would say that they are going to win their division.
Do you think his rush to be back and play every 5 days has a little bit to do with having a 0.54 ERA and having one of the best statistical seasons in the history of the sport?
You mean like his will
his
to
drive to come back?
Oh yeah, he is a gamer. He he wants to win more than anyone, it seems.
He wants to have. I think it's more than that. I think he wants to have like the best season from a pitcher in the history of the sport. Like be known. Like he wants his single season to be better than Kershaw's single season.
Yeah, and you can tell how passionate he is. Like hurt or not, he wants to play. But if you're Jake DeGrom, you know who you are, you know your capability, you know how good you are. You got to look at it from your team's point of view and be like, hey, we can't risk you getting hurt even more. Take a start off. Let him rest for a couple weeks.
Do you remember when the Cubs got swept by them in 2015? How good their rotation was? Mm-hmm. Matt Harvey was their ace. Noah Syndergaard was their number 2, and I think Jacob DeGrom was technically considered their number 3 back in the day. So, just to see where he's come.
You're talking about the Mets, right?
Yeah.
Did you mention who was the guy who went on Jimmy Fallon? Was it Matt Harvey? Yeah.
Harvey.
Yeah. You said him?
Yeah.
I was reading the comments. I wasn't listening for a second. But, that was a good rotation.
Absolutely. It was the key to them getting to the World Series that year. The Royals were just a little bit better. But,
And Santiago says he was going to no-hit the Cubs. He was dialed in yesterday. Like, we could have saw him. Perfect games are 1 in a million, but he threw 3 perfect innings and he was feeling it until that. So a no-hitter was definitely was possible.
There's only one reason I don't think that was going to happen yesterday. He had 51 pitches after the 3rd inning. So like you're on pace to be over 100 after the 6th.
It's hard to go a complete game when you're already at 50 through 3.
Yeah, so it was a tough game for the Cubs. DeGrom we're hoping he gets back soon. I'd like to see him have one of those historical seasons myself. I'm rooting for it. I don't want any of this BS with the sticky stuff to impact him. I hope he's able to figure it out and have a good grip on the ball and not hurt his elbow. Do what you got to do for 2 weeks and come back. We'll see you later.
So yeah, we agree. And Gonzo says Stroman and Walker are dealing for them too. So yeah, exactly. It's not like DeGrom is the only pitcher who's been like good. Stroman, he's 6-4 this year. He's got like a 2-something ERA. He's going tonight against Hendricks. So let those guys take charge for a little bit and get 100% healthy.
Absolutely. So 3 against the Marlins, 2 against the Indians. That's their upcoming schedule. What do you like? What do you see? Oh, and let's not forget the Mets tonight. We can preview that a little bit too.
Yeah, Mets tonight. I think we're looking for a good start from Hendricks because that's what they need. I don't want to see them get swept by the Mets if I'm a Cubs fan at least. But that Marlins 3-game series, I expect them to win at least 2 of those games. And then the Indians, it seems like the Indians haven't been that bad as of late. I'd have to look a little more into it. Yeah, they're 7-3 in their last 10.
Yeah,
so that'll be a tougher 2-game series. Maybe they'll split it, but it all depends how they're feeling after this Marlins series. If they win both against the Indians, I wouldn't be surprised. So I'm gonna go. I'll say 2-1 against the Marlins and 1-1 against the Indians.
Yeah, I'm gonna align with you there. I will say. Yeah, you could write that down for me. I'm going to go 2-1 against the Fish and 1-1 against the Tribe. I will say if they sweep the Cleveland Indians, I will be very happy with them. As a White Sox guy myself, rooting for them to take a nice command in the division race, it would be really nice to see the Cubs really help the White Sox. It seems like the Indians have played the Baltimore Orioles for 1,000 straight days. So I'm kind of tired of it. I need the Indians to start playing some better teams. And if the Cubs lay an egg like they did the last time they played the Cleveland Indians earlier in the season, I'll be very annoyed, and I won't have nice things to say about them on next week's show.
Yeah, it'll be interesting, and I believe they start a very interesting series next week. That will
in LA.
Yeah, that we'll be talking. Like, I'm excited for next Thursday, so just so we can preview that. I should have saved this. Maybe I'll wear it 2 weeks in a row. Who knows?
Yeah, it won't matter. You could wear it again. I'll be rooting for my guy Trevor Bauer. And hopefully he's able to combine some sweat with some sticky or some rosin so he's not able to hold or let go of the baseball because it's stuck to his hand.
Cub fans are tired of helping the Sox. Eloy.
Yeah, I mean, don't forget Dylan Cease and his pretty good season he's got going on so far too. That actually makes the trade even worse than it is. But I think it's time to move on to the Chicago White Sox, don't you?
Yeah, and I think that's kind of like a perfect segue, because I think if the Cubs are able to beat those win those 2 games against Cleveland, I think that will help the Sox, because the Sox kind of have a tough one coming up in Houston. We'll talk about that in a little bit.
Yeah. Now, you say they got a tough one coming up against Houston. I wrote an article for SouthsideShowdown.com a couple days ago. Actually, it was literally yesterday. There was some chatter. The haters are out there about who the White Sox play, who's in their division, can they beat good teams. First of all, they got swept by the New York Yankees. Why are we considering that a series that the White Sox got beat by a good team? The Yankees aren't a good team. Oh no, they got swept by a 4th place team. That means they can't beat good teams? Excuse me. The Yankees aren't world beaters. I'm not scared of the Yankees right now. This clip might get clipped later on, but I mean, don't tell me I should be ashamed. Think they can't do well because they got swept by the Yankees. 2 of them were walk-offs, and one was Garrett Cole shoved.
And at that point in time, the Yankees, I believe, were,
hot.
They were red hot. I think they were leading their division at the time, if not 1 game behind Boston or Tampa. Yeah. That was before Tampa's 12-game win streak or whatever. Yep. The Yankees have sucked since then. They've probably been one of the worst teams since that game. They got shit on by Detroit, I think, twice.
Detroit swept them at one point.
Yeah, I'm not scared of the New York Yankees.
Detroit.
I'm not scared of the New York Yankees one bit, especially being a Red Sox fan. The Yankees don't scare me at all.
Yeah, no, not worried about the Yankees right now. The next game will be the Field of Dreams game. I'm sure. I don't know how they're going to do it. Are they going to try and line up Garrett Cole to be the starter for that game?
I would say
an off day in between. It's one of those weird things where like they play on Thursday, then they're off on Friday, then they come to Chicago to finish the series with the Yankees at Guaranteed Rate Field.
I would say they're going to try to match up ace versus ace. And whoever that is.
What does that mean for the White Sox?
I was just going to say, whoever that is that week, I mean, Giolito or Lance Lynn.
Yeah.
I would say one of those 2.
Yeah.
But then if Rodon started, I wouldn't be mad at that either. So, I mean, like we always talk about with the White Sox, it's kind of like it's a matchup thing. So I think I'm pretty confident in either one of those 3 starting in an ace versus ace situation.
Absolutely. Now, the reason I brought up the New York Yankees in the first place is because that started the chatter about the White Sox and good teams and whatnot. They went 2-1 against the Toronto Blue Jays. Since our last show, they had to finish that 3rd game since our last show, and they won. So they took the series 2-1. They swept the Detroit Tigers, and they beat the Tampa Bay Rays 2-1 following that. So I brought up that article I wrote about the White Sox beating good teams. Well, in baseball, if you take care of your business against the teams that you should beat, like the Detroit Tigers, and you tread water, stay even with the other good teams in the league, you'll win 90 to 100 ball games. And that's exactly what the White Sox did. It's what they're on pace to do. What are your thoughts on the series wins against the Blue Jays, Tigers, and Rays?
Yeah, I don't know how you can really say that they can't beat good teams. I mean, if you look right under them, right now they're the best team in baseball. I would say right under them is Tampa Bay. And like they played really good against Tampa Bay. And if you look at their lineup that they put out against Tampa Bay, it's nothing to write home. It's nothing to write home about. I see you're making that face. So, I mean, they're dealing with so much injuries and so many things right now, and they're still getting it done. So, I mean, the future for the Chicago White Sox and they're where they're at right now, with the best team, being the best team in baseball, like it just excites me. And I am not worried about them facing the better teams one bit, because right now every team is looking at them as trying to beat the better team.
And I truly think like Madrigal's out for the year, so you could kiss him goodbye. But I do believe Robert will return, and Eloy will probably return in 6 weeks. So
I'm excited to see Eloy in his rehab stint. I want to see highlights of that game, or if he goes and plays in Charlotte.
see him hit a ball over that batter's
Yeah,
eye.
like that's and he's gonna have fun.
Yeah.
You feel it.
Absolutely. He's like a little kid. Now, that lineup is going to be scary when those guys come back because guys like Lamb, Leary Garcia, those guys will play a little less, and those guys are holding their own. I have nothing really against them. They put their balls on the table every single day and, do what they got to do. I don't know, man. The White Sox are very good, and they went into that series with the Rays as the second best team in the league record-wise, and they came out of it with the best record because they took 2 out of 3 games against them. It's the first time that the 2 best teams in baseball played on the south side of Chicago since 1990.
Yeah, that's crazy. I'm happy we went to that game. We were talking Sunday night about going to the game once they announced the starters, and
it kind of came out on the later side that it was going to be Glasnow versus Lynn, and me and you both love Glasnow and Lynn, so we were boom right there.
Yeah, and so the to be able to say that we went to that game, yeah, the Sox, it was on the wrong end of the win, but to say we went there and in that pitching matchup, Lynn versus Glasnow, like, yeah, Glasnow got hurt and whatnot, but it was a fun game. It was electric. Yeah, exactly. The atmosphere was probably like we haven't seen since Michael Kopech made his debut.
Yep.
And I'm ready to go to more games because it seems like every time that we go, it's just more and more exciting each time. And as we get closer to October, like, bring it on.
Absolutely. Now, you brought up that there seems to be a new ace every single week.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on this group right now? Because the two highest ERAs of the bunch are Dallas Keuchel and Lucas Giolito, who we went into the season looking at as the 2 best on the team. And those guys certainly haven't been bad, especially lately.
Dallas Keuchel
has been insane. Lucas Giolito, to me, he hasn't been like that dominant pitcher yet, but you can kind of see that it's coming. And he does that thing where he pitches like this and he looks all angry. It's coming for Giolito. He's the least of my worries right now. I'm kind of happy that if anybody's got the lowest ERA on the team, it's him, because if anybody can elevate themselves, it's that guy.
Yeah, they're starters, I would say, and we talked about this, I think, with Pitching Ninja and whoever else. I don't remember. We mentioned that it is the best rotation in the MLB, and I stand by that. I think, we talked about their injuries. I think a big reason why they are where they are, you can kind of point toward the starting rotation, and then they give them a chance to win every single game, no matter who starts on the bump. Lately, especially yesterday's game, I'm starting to get a little concerned. Bummer. That should have been an easy win. They're up 7-2, and they end up having to win in extras, which a guy we didn't even mention, Grandal, has been awesome. So I mean, I want to see their bullpen kind of like continue what they've done all year, but I mean, lately it just seems like bummer. And then against the Jays too, like their bullpen was a little scary. Like, what's the deal with the bullpen lately? Crochet, we saw him give up a shot against the Rays.
Yeah, I have a take on all 3 of those guys you mentioned. First of all, Bummer. He's got nasty shit. Nasty shit. When he's on, he's on. I'm not even slightly worried about him. Let him pitch. Let him figure it out. Keep throwing him out there, because come October, he'll be needed. He's going to be their setup guy. You go from starter to Bummer, and Bummer does not stink. I could not disagree with that more. Like, Bummer has nasty shit. You can argue that if you take out Garrett Crochet and Kopech because they're starters, Bummer's their second best reliever. And there's a reason the MLB Shredder had him at number 10 in the league going into this season. Bummer shit is so nasty. People who are hating on Bummer now, they're going to come to realize in August, September, that guy's insane, and there's no reason to worry about him. Crochet, that was the first bomb he ever gave up in his MLB career. We happened to be at the game that Garrett Crochet gave up his first career home run, and that's kind of a long time to go without giving up a bomb at 20 years old or whatever the hell he is. Garrett Crochet in that inning before, he was 2 innings when we were there. Mm-hmm. The first inning, he was amazing. His stuff is so nasty. I have no gripes with him. I almost said grapes. Grapes are pretty tasty. There's no reason to be worried about Garrett Crochet, he's very young. People also don't realize Garrett Crochet wasn't even drafted yet at this time last year. And I think he played one college game and then it got wiped out due to COVID-19. Dude, he stepped right into the majors and he's been insane. He's got nasty stuff. His delivery is very unique and I like watching him pitch. Not worried about him at all. Who was the other one you mentioned? You mentioned 3.
No, I mentioned Grandal's
Grandal
walk-off yesterday.
People look at his batting average and say he sucks. Could not be more wrong.
No, I'm saying especially as of late. I feel like he's just been solid as of late.
I think people want him to swing at bad pitches because his on-base percentage is amazing and his batting average doesn't go up as a result. I just am wondering if people want him to start swinging at Joke.
Yeah, maybe. Another guy I wanted to ask you about, Foster.
Yeah, Foster is also a very young kid with nasty shit. We'll see. I'm not really worried about any arms in the bullpen. The worst pitcher in terms of pure stuff is Jose Ruiz, and even he's been okay this year. They're going to have games where they're not perfect. I think Bummer set unrealistic expectations early in the season when he said that they plan on being 90-0 as a unit once they enter the ball game. That's just unrealistic. Cody Hoyer throws 100. Someone's going to run into one every now and then. He's going to give up a shot. Bummer. He's a sinker baller. Bummer has the worst luck of any sinker baller I've ever seen, but it's kind of a fact about sinker ballers that a lot of the times guys will lay off of it and it'll sink below the zone. I mean, it's common sense. And then when you swing hard at a sinker and you hit just the top of the baseball, it has potential to drive right into the ground and then pop straight up. And then Moncada has to sit under and wait for it like a fool. And then by the guy's fast enough, he's safe automatically.
Yeah, and I like what Gonzo said. He says he feels better when Kopech is back in the pen. That kind of changes who you bring in and the whole situation when Michael Kopech is in there. Because, I love when he comes in. I feel more comfortable when he comes out of that pen. Opposed
to feel better about double headers too.
Exactly. Yeah. So
they need Michael back. They gave a good update. He'll be back soon. I'm really not at all worried about him. I hope he doesn't hurt himself with lack of sunscreen or rosin. Because
that's another thing.
If there's someone on the team to worry about as far as that, it's him and Crochet. So, hopefully they're able to figure it out. Hopefully that's part of his comeback routine.
But yeah, like I mentioned with Chris Sale.
Exactly. Yeah. So we'll see what happens with that. You mentioned the big series with the Houston Astros. It's going to be their first time facing them since 2019. They were I think in 2019 they played them in March or May. They beat Garrett Cole, and then that was the last time Garrett Cole lost until the World Series. So we'll see what happens when they face them. What's your reaction to them going to Houston?
Yeah, it's going to be tough in Houston, especially. They're on a 3-game win streak. They're 7-3 in their past 10. And it seems like all season long, you have the White Sox, and I'm talking run differential here. You've had the White Sox at the top and right under. Regardless of what the record shows, the Houston Astros are right under them in run differential. And I love that stat. To me, it shows if your team can score runs and if your pitching has been solid. I love run differential in baseball more than like hockey, goal differential. I like it in baseball. I might be in the minority there, but it's
There's no empty net runs. There's no empty net runs.
Exactly. That's a very good point.
Yeah.
So I like run differential, and it's been the White Sox and the Astros all year long. The Dodgers are starting to climb up right there on the Astros. But it's going to be a good series. I'm excited to see the pitching matchup. I haven't looked too deep into it. I know we have Dylan Cease versus I can never remember how to say it, Urquidy.
Yeah.
I think you got it right. But
yeah, and we just got word of the lineup too.
Yeah, let's see it. Let's talk.
The starting lineup for tonight's game for the Chicago White Sox. Leading off will be the shortstop, Tim Anderson. Batting second will be Adam Engel. They just put Adam Eaton on the 10-day disabled list for, you guessed it, a hamstring. Batting third is beautiful, beautiful, beautiful news for Chicago White Sox fans. Yoan Moncada is back from his little sinus issue he was dealing with. He'll be a big piece in this series. Beating the Rays, talked about topic from the Rays series was them winning without Moncada, because it's one thing without Eloy and Luis. We knew that, but Moncada was kind of sprung on us. Jose Abreu batting fifth after him. DHing is Yermin Mercedes, followed by Grandal, Vaughn, Goodwin, and Mendick, with Dylan Cease on the mound. That is probably one of the better lineups you'll see from the White Sox at any point before they get healthy. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, is this Goodwin's first time playing right? I know he's been playing center a lot.
I don't think it's his first time playing right. I would have to go back and look. He's definitely capable. He made a nice catch in center when we were there.
Yeah, it was kind of awkward, but it looked nice. I mean, it was.
Yeah. I think if you can play center, you can play one of the two other outfields depending on your arm. I want to say the best arm generally is
right
field.
Yeah,
because the positions or the bases you'll be throwing to are the farthest from right field. But I mean, we'll see what happens with him. And it can't get much worse offensively than Adam Eaton.
Yeah, a guy in that lineup that I'm looking at tonight and in this series against the Astros is Yermin. I think he's got to really get going here.
Yeah, Yermin's time is running out.
Exactly, and I think the series against the Astros, you're going up against another top team. I want to see Yermin have a series here.
I would not send him down at any.
No, I want him in the dugout.
Trade him. He can be a platoon for a left-handed pitcher. Because his numbers even lately haven't been terrible against left-handed pitching. That's who I'm using him for once healthy.
Do you also think he does a little better in those high pressure situations?
Sometimes.
I feel like, okay, there's a lot of times where I've seen him get that base hit with a guy in scoring position and he'll drive it in. And then think about the whole first quarter of the season. That whole first quarter for him is a high pressure situation because like he's trying to get a job. So, I mean, I'd love to see him come in like we talked about. I don't remember if it was on the show or us just talking, but we talked about him coming in to pinch hit like later in the year in the playoffs. I could definitely see that from Yermin.
Against the lefty, especially. Let's say they bring in a lefty to face Abreu. Or not Abreu. You know, who's a left-handed hitter that's good? I would have to go back and like take a look at the lineup as a whole. But let's say they bring in a lefty to face Moncada. And then after him is like Adam Engel, who's 0 for 3. You pinch hit Yermin. Like, I'm just making stuff up in my head on the fly of ways that he can be effective. When Eloy comes back, people were like, oh, well, what about Yermin? Okay, like, Yermin, fun, love him, ate the burger, it was delicious. But Eloy Jimenez is one of
I'd rather see Eloy DH and not in left than Yermin in the lineup as DH. That's just my opinion. Yeah,
we'll see how not being in left affects his ability to stay in the game. I've heard people talk about that, but
I don't buy it. I don't think it'll matter. And if it does, then I don't know. But I don't think that'll even be a thought.
Yeah, I mean, I hope you're right. I really hope you're right.
And I'm not like giving up on Yermin, but
no, there's no reason to give up on him.
I think Yermin is great. I love him, and I want him in the dugout, like I said, come playoff time. But I also would rather see Eloy take that DH spot just because I don't want Eloy in left.
Yeah, and we haven't gotten Yermin Eloy content.
Yeah, exactly. We've never seen him on the same field in the same dugout.
Yermin got called up once last year, and he pinch hit and went 0 for 1. Like, that was about the extent of them being in the lineup at the same time.
Yeah, Gonzo says left field Vaughn and Eloy at DH, Mercedes who, and I kind of agree. We'll remember Mercedes hopefully in a playoff situation where they need a hit and he comes and pinch hits for someone and it works.
Yeah, and it's also nice to have a guy if Grandal or Collins for whatever reason can't catch anymore, or if they forfeit the DH, he could do that too.
Yeah, and I don't think he looked bad when he caught.
No, I mean, it depends on the pressure of the game, the situation. If you need...
Yeah, if it's bases loaded and you need that guy to make...
Yeah, you need Cody Hoyer to bury a slider. You'd rather one of Grandal or Collins back there.
You got to make sure that ball's not getting away. But
yeah, absolutely. So what do you got with the Astros series?
For the White Sox, let me take a quick look at the pitching. We got Cease tonight.
Yeah, tomorrow should be
Rodon versus Garcia.
Then Lynn, then Keuchel again.
Yeah, Lance Lynn's got a tough matchup. against Framber Valdez.
Yeah, so he goes from Glasnow to Valdez.
Yeah.
Or
It sucks that it's in Houston because that's a tough place to play.
yeah, and really quick before you give your prediction, I wrote another article for SouthsideShowdown.com about one hitter that the Astros or the White Sox should be a little worried about going into the series, and that guy's Jose Altuve. He's been white hot lately, and guy can hit home runs. He can hit for power. He can score runs. His OPS is up there. This is a great player.
He hit a grand slam for my fantasy team.
Yep. No one gives a fuck.
I'm gonna go, regardless of Altuve, regardless of it being in Houston. I'm going with a 3-1 series win for your first place Chicago White Sox.
Wow. Very good. What about the Pittsburgh Pirates?
I want to say 2-0 so bad, but I mean that's asking for a 5-1 stretch in a week, which that would be a pretty good. That'd be a good climb on first place.
Yeah, especially with Cleveland playing the Cubs. If the Cubs can actually take care of their business against Cleveland.
Oh, if that happens,
the Cubs have never beaten Cleveland before, and they're not nothing about that.
The thing is, this Astros series, it's going to be tough, and I know it.
Yeah, I got 2-2 against the Astros, and then 2-0 against the Pittsburgh Pirates.
I agree. 2-0. I just wrote it down. You say 2-2 against the Astros. I'm curious to know who you think's gonna.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really have a game that I think. The Astros are a good team and they deserve credit. Like if they would have played the Rays 4 times, they probably would have went 2-2 as well. I mean, like you said, the Astros run differential makes you think that they'll come back and have a chance to win the division. I know the A's are very good and they're very hot right now. They're 8-2 in their last 10, but I don't know. I like the Astros in terms of what they're doing this year, and this is their actual redemption tour.
Mm-hmm. So. The reason why I'm going 3-1, I think the Astros' best chance I don't know. I like Lance Lynn on Saturday. I don't see he got credit with the loss against Tampa, did he not?
Yeah.
And I don't think he's going to lose 2 in a row.
He's 7-2.
Yeah.
He gave up. That was his worst start, and he gave up 3 runs, and they were both on home runs to good players.
Exactly.
People don't realize though when they look up players who they give up a home run, it's like, well, good players, they hit home runs sometimes, even off of good pitchers. Does Aroldis Chapman suck because Andrew Vaughn hit a bomb off of him against the Yankees? No.
Yeah, and even Keuchel's been good lately too for the Sunday game. So
it's hard to look at the pitching and go the White Sox are at a disadvantage in that game.
Exactly. So
it'll be because the other team deserves it for the most part. The only loss that the White Sox have had in the last 20 games or so that I was genuinely furious about was the Toronto game. Mm-hmm. The game they should have swept the Blue Jays. That was away game 2. The loss to the Rays
in the 8th inning, right?
Yeah, in the 8th inning. They should have had that game. I don't care what anyone says. I would have manage the game a little differently. I'm not here to roast Tony La Russa. I've been good lately. The Rays game, you tip your cap, young man.
Exactly.
The Rays played very well.
And that's, we talked about the Rays. It was the first time you said since 1990 that the 2 best teams played, and the Rays are
not played at Sox Park, whatever you call it.
Yeah. Okay. No, yeah, obviously not played.
It's still kind of rare for them to play.
What, the 2 best teams in the league?
I wouldn't say that happens every year, not even close. You don't play everyone. If the White Sox and the Giants stay the course of being the 2 best teams, they won't play each other.
Yeah, but
and if the Giants just would have happened to be the best team on that given day, that would have never happened.
I'm pretty sure a while ago, there was not even a while ago, back when Yankees, Red Sox in 2000.
I was going to bring them up too in 2018.
Yeah, in 2018, they were fighting for first place all game or all season, and then they play each other a lot. But anyway, I got them
2-0.
Yeah, 2-0 against the Pirates. I I don't see why they can't do that against the Pirates.
Yeah, I mean,
It'll
the
be
Pirates-
interesting to see who plays that game. And I'm hoping everyone's healthy. Like, I hope Moncada stays in the lineup, and
yeah. Well, Moncada's thing was like a nasal thing, so it wasn't like a physical injury.
that's good.
It's encouraging,
Yeah.
and he's probably their best player. Before we get out of here, I wanted to ask your opinion on something. I was listening to our good friend David Kaplan earlier today. I know I talk about him a lot because I'm a big fan of the show, and I'm always out there looking for content. You know, what are they talking about? What's the hot topic? Today, they were talking about a tweet written by someone else that we both love, one Jared Carabas. And Carabas tweeted last night about DeGrom, and I know we talked at length about DeGrom in this show, but I wanted to ask you a question. Is DeGrom the best player in his sport of the big four sports? He's got a 0.54 ERA. You couldn't do that in MLB The Show on easy mode.
Yeah. Best player in their sport.
Best at his job in his sport of the big four, of course. It's a big discussion. There's a lot to unpack there. I have my opinion. I actually tweeted about it. And so I'll give you my pick while you think it over.
Well,
I believe Jacob DeGrom is the best active baseball player at his position right now. I do. More than
I
Mike.
agree with that.
And Mike Trout's amazing. I think he's probably a top 5 player ever. And he could go down as the best player ever. For those who don't know, he hasn't even hit 30 yet, and he already has a higher career WAR than Frank Thomas, who might be one of the best hitters in the history of the sport. At least he's right there with Manny Ramirez as the best right-handed hitter in the sport. I am going with Connor McDavid.
That's
So far at my point in the show where I paused when we started our show today, no one even brought him up. McDavid had 105 points in 56 games this season. That's on pace for 153 points over 82 games. The next leading scorer was Leon Draisaitl, who plays on the power play with McDavid. So if you ignore him, the third leading scorer was Brad Marchand, someone you know very well, who had 69 points for a very nice total in his games this season. That's a great total. That's like on pace for 110 points, 69 points in 56 games. He didn't even play all 56 games. He was hurt to start the year. Marchand, never hurt. Pretty sure Marchand was hurt. Him and Pasternak were hurt to start the season. Marchand might have came back a little earlier. I don't remember.
It was. Yeah, Marchand didn't start the year. He missed like a week.
Yeah, to have 69 points in 50 games.
Oh, he's a 100-point guy.
Yeah. But I think it's McDavid. The other ones that came to mind, like in addition to DeGrom, Patrick Mahomes. He's probably the best NFL player, I would say. I know they lost the Super Bowl because Tom is just smarter than everybody else, and they game planned him really well in Tampa. But I mean, in terms of individual play, I would say Patrick Mahomes is the best football player.
Yeah, right when you asked, my brain initially went toward Connor McDavid.
It's hard not to. I mean, have you ever seen a faster skater in the history of the sport?
No, exactly. And I've never seen a guy consistently put up 120 points.
Yeah, because Kucherov did it, then he came back down and had 90.
I honestly believe in an 82-game year, McDavid will like 100 points is like a lock for him.
An absolute lock. The over-under for the second best for McKinnon, Matthews, Draisaitl, the over-under is probably 99.5. McDavid, it's like 112.5. I would say is like a good over-under for him. And I'm taking the over.
Yeah, I'm going to have to.
Would have had 156 points or whatever in a full schedule just because they wouldn't only be playing the Canadian teams. And they also, sometimes you go in a 2-3 game slump that lowers it by 8 or 9 points for someone like McDavid.
No, but an extra 16 points in 20 games is a lock. He definitely gets 120 points.
102, and that would lead the league by 10, maybe more.
Exactly.
And
so I think it's Connor McDavid.
Tom's in the conversation right now, though. He has. I mean, who's got the second best ERA? Lance Lynn.
Yeah, but he doesn't. He doesn't do that. He's lights out. He's like a top 3 pitcher every single year. Yes, but does he have a point? What is his ERA? 0.5?
0.54.
He doesn't do that every year.
No, but he won the Cy Young in 2018, 2019. He came in third last year. You could have argued he could have came in second.
Yeah, who won that?
Argue that if it were a full season, he would have passed Bauer and Darvish.
Who won it?
Bauer.
In the short year?
Yeah, Trevor Bauer, and then Yu Darvish came in third.
Yeah.
Or
Santiago.
Yu Darvish came in second.
Santiago says the other night Kevin Durant was the best. We were talking about his performance for the
Brooklyn Nets. Kevin Durant, he had 49 points, 17 assists, and 10 rebounds. That's awesome. But like, we've seen Michael do that. We've seen LeBron do that. We've seen guys get more points in a triple double. It was a 50-point triple double basically. But like, we've seen guys. I've seen Durant have better games.
Yeah,
and he doesn't do that. Like, the best player in the NBA, ever since LeBron got to be like 34 years old, 33, 34 years old, the best player in the league kind of changes on a weekly basis, it seems like lately. I mean, Giannis Antetokounmpo has been in the conversation. Kevin Durant has been in the conversation. There was a point in time where Curry was like up there. Klay Thompson's one of the best 3-point shooters I've ever seen. Like, there are just so many guys who have been in the conversation. Who's this Luka Doncic? I'm not great with basketball, but I know enough to carry a conversation. There are lots of guys. No one is close to McDavid. No one is close to DeGrom. And in my opinion, no one's close to Patrick Mahomes.
The thing with football, though, is like it's so the positions are so different. You can say the same thing about baseball.
Yeah, because like a guy like Aaron Donald comes into the mix.
Yeah, I'm drawing a blank on his name. Tennessee Titans running back.
Oh, Derrick Henry.
Yeah. Like,
he can have a sick game.
Exactly. Yeah, I can't believe it.
Nobody's as consistent as Patrick Mahomes for me.
It depends. Yeah, if you're looking at quarterbacks, yeah, but I mean, Derrick Henry for me is my tight end or my running back.
Is there as big of a difference between Derrick Henry and the second best running back as there is between Patrick Mahomes and whoever you think the second best quarterback is, whether it be Aaron Rodgers, Deshaun Watson, Tom Brady? I mean, I don't know.
I'm going to say yes. I would say it's not as far as you think.
Patrick Mahomes threw 50 touchdowns in his rookie year, won MVP, and was a bad defensive offsides call away from beating Tom Brady to go to the Super Bowl, where they would have beat the Rams. Then the following year, he got a little hurt in week 4, I think. That he came back, they went to the Super Bowl, won it. Then the following year, he puts up amazing numbers again, goes to the Super Bowl again. They lose to Tom because for some reason I'm all for it. I'm a Tom guy, but the gods don't want Mahomes to beat Tom yet. And I mean, this guy's just in the mix every year. And if you think Tom Brady is the GOAT and you think like winning and his ability to win football games is like the number one reason why, then you got to give Mahomes the credit he deserves, because all that guy does is win unless he's playing Tom.
Yeah, I do give him that credit. It's just I don't know. I'm not disagreeing with you. I just think the gap is a little less.
I think it's undoubtedly McDavid.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think.
But see here.
Well, guys, 5 minutes each for fighting.
I had a feeling it was coming when I said I wasn't trying to disagree with you.
It's funny when it like pops up in the baseball show, because like in the hockey show when things get a little heated, I'm like, it's coming.
Yeah,
and in baseball, it just pops out of nowhere.
We need more shit to disagree on. Like we haven't disagreed in hockey. The playoffs are going. It's really a kind of, in my opinion, a chalk. Like not chalk, but there's not much to disagree on in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Like.
Yeah, no, we'll get there. The off season's coming. We're gonna yell at each other a bunch.
Like I'm hoping
right now. You're saying everything you're saying about Mahomes. You say you kind of do in hockey too, because I've heard you make comments about McKinnon closing the gap on McDavid, and nobody right now is close to DeGrom. I tweeted that I have McDavid, but I don't think McKinnon is closing the gap on McDavid at all.
What I said was last year. I said I think it was going into last year, so before COVID, I said that this season McKinnon is going to close the gap on McDavid.
Yeah, but in the playoffs, McKinnon was better against the Blues, and what's his name, Connor McDavid. The Jets did an okay job of shutting him down.
Yeah, well, I think
people were saying, "Oh, is McKinnon actually just as good?" No, he's not.
Yeah, I mean, playoffs is different. I think right now, if you're ranking solely, like, let's say you had a person and you had them watch hockey and you had them only watch playoffs. They never watched a minute of regular season. And then you ask them, okay, based off of what you've seen in the past, let's say they watched past 5 years of playoffs, never saw a single regular season game. And then you ask them after watching these 5 playoffs seasons, who's the best player in the NHL? They're going to say Nathan McKinnon. McKinnon.
I don't know if I agree with that.
Nathan McKinnon is better than Connor McDavid in the playoffs.
I don't think he is, because the Golden Knights kind of showed why. He wasn't that dominant against them. He went like 4 games without a point. But, okay, so do you think DeGrom would do this in the playoffs?
Yeah, there's no reason not to.
Yeah, so, I mean, DeGrom for me right now, especially with Trout being out and Shohei Ohtani, I guess I didn't think of him. He's not as dominant pitching. He's not even close dominant as pitching, but he's a very good pitcher. He's a
very good pitcher who's an elite hitter.
Yes. That's a great way to put it.
Yeah, but
if one goes, it's pitching, wouldn't you say, or no?
If what?
They might. That's tough to decide. If the Angels were forced to get rid of one for the sake of his health, I think they'd keep the pitching.
I disagree.
And knowing he could still hit from time to time, they can't pitch. They have no pitching.
Yeah, but
he's their ace.
I get that, but he's also their best hitter when Mike Trout's not in the lineup.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I mean, it's a tough decision.
And I think he's a better hitter than he is a pitcher.
All right, so rank your players in the sport. I've given you enough time to make your argument.
McDavid. I guess, yeah, Jake DeGrom.
Yeah. Would you put Patrick Mahomes third?
But the only issue I have with saying DeGrom is it's a pitcher. Can I pick a pitcher and a batter, and then I should be able to pick like a position player for football?
No, because
okay, then I'm going to argue Mike Trout is up there.
Okay, that's a perfectly fine argument. The point is, are you as good at your job is Jacob DeGrom as good of a pitcher as Connor McDavid is a hockey scorer? Is Patrick Mahomes as good of a quarterback? I think Patrick Mahomes is better at quarterback than any player in the NFL at their current position. That's my take. It's not quarterbacks are more impactful.
I'm going to say no to DeGrom.
I'm saying a player like Mahomes.
Okay, then I'm saying no to DeGrom. I'm taking Mike Trout. I think Mike Trout is a better baseball player, hitter than Jake DeGrom is a pitcher.
Okay. Very interesting take. Very interesting take. You know, the funny thing is on Cap and J Hood, they both agreed it was DeGrom. No one brought up McDavid. No one brought up Mahomes.
I think it's a recency bias. Yeah, DeGrom is having like he has ungodly numbers right now.
Yeah, he does.
So it's a recency bias, I feel.
If one team tags him, his ERA will go above 1. That's the thing people don't understand either. It only could drop so much more. He did the 3 perfect innings yesterday, and it went down from 0.56 to 0.54. So if he would have went another 3 innings of perfect baseball, gave up a hit or 2, and then came out for the bullpen, because like I said, he was at 50 pitches after the first, I think it probably goes down to 0.52?
Yeah, and everyone cools down. Like, look at Mike Trout. Before he got hurt, he was batting like close to 400. He was the last player to be in the 400s. So,
yeah, if DeGrom comes back healthy, his ERA will probably hover just above 1.
Yeah,
would be my guess.
And then football, yeah, I guess you can make arguments for other positions, but yeah, I'll go Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, only because I don't think anybody else is as good at their position, and I'd like to hear people. You can tweet me at Vinny Parisi. I want to know who you think could compete with Patrick Mahomes in terms of football. Like, I'm trying Aaron Rodgers at quarterback. You brought up Derrick Henry at running back. I'm a big fan of DeAndre Hopkins, the wide receiver. He's very good.
Another running back
is a very good receiver.
McCaffrey.
Christian McCaffrey, when he's healthy, kind of a tough 2020 season dealing with the injuries. But, I mean, Aaron Donald is very good. So, you know, it's a good time to be a fan of sports is a takeaway you can have from this conversation.
Oh, yeah.
So, I don't know.
And who's a college quarterback who might make his NFL debut this year in a city that we love very much?
Oh, Justin Fields?
Nope. Mac Jones.
Mac Jones stinks.
I just had to throw that in there.
Tom Brady was the system. Remember that.
I just had to throw that in there and make you think I was going toward Fields, but no, Mac Jones.
My first instinct was Trevor Lawrence. I think that dude is special.
But yeah, it'll be interesting to see Trevor Lawrence play over in Jacksonville, and then also we all forgot about Joe Burrow. He got hurt, but
yeah. Well, yeah, we cover it all, man. We talk every sport. There's no sport that goes above Vinny and Joey. None. We're not better than any sport. No sport is better than us. We do it all. Plug yourself.
Me? Joey Parisi. At Joey Parisi on Twitter. I tweet about sports. Kinda.
Absolutely. We're gonna get Joey to tweet more. Hashtag tweet more Joey.
I need more followers. Go and follow me. I need more followers. It's like you're not gonna read a book to a classroom of no kids.
Well, you gotta get your followers. It's gotta happen.
Yeah.
Make sure you follow at Vinny Parisi, at Joey Parisi. Make sure you read at the Windy City FS. That's the Twitter handle. And at Sock Showdown. That's the other Twitter handle. I run them both. You could tweet me, comment, read the stuff. Then the actual blog is thewindycity.com and southsideshowdown.com. Good stuff on all Chicago. Got lots of hockey stuff going on. And I appreciate everyone for listening to us rant about how BS the MLB is and how we hope nobody else gets hurt. And go White Sox. And you could say the other thing.
Go Dodgers.
We hope everybody enjoyed. We'll talk to you next week.